Veterans, attention! We pause right now for a moment of silence for our brothers and sisters who have also lost in Iraq and Afghanistan and are continuing to fight today.
I served in the Illinois Army National Guard from 2000 to 2006. I was deployed to Kuwait and Iraq from 2003 to 2004 as an 88 Mike truck driver. What am I doing here today? Well, I'm here to announce IVAW's first strategic campaign, Operation Recovery, Stop the Deployment of Traumatized Troops. I'm also here to put the sector that's responsible for that on watch. Basically, about 20% of our brothers and sisters that are getting sent overseas right now are dealing with PTSD, MST, TBI. That's from DOD, and that's the bare minimum statistics. That means 20% of those folks over there that are dealing with these issues are like on some type of psychotropic drug or not given their right to heal. And basically, I'm here to say, you know what? It doesn't matter what the military needs, because it's going to keep saying it needs troops. It's going to keep saying, hey, you have to sacrifice. You have to sacrifice. We are willing to sacrifice, but we also have rights as GIs and veterans. And that's what we're here to stand up for. By doing that, we're going to win our rights, and we're also going to end the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. It's really simple. By withdrawing that 20%, by saying this 20% that you're abusing has a right to heal, has a right to compensation. By saying that, taking care of them and getting them medically discharged out of the military, getting them medical retirement. That's withdrawing 20% of the fighting force, making it extremely hard for the military to continue the occupation the way it is. It's putting the military on the defensive and making them have to make a choice about what they want to do. And that's basically our objective. Our objective is to go on the offensive and take on this campaign, win our rights, and get our brothers and sisters home.
I deployed with the 10th Mountain Division in August of 06. During Ramadan, October of 06, I was hit by a roadside bomb and suffered some injuries from that. Following that, I was sent back to stateside for some surgery and recovery. During that time, I was diagnosed with a post-traumatic stress disorder, traumatic brain injury, and I was on psychotropic drugs to help with the sleep and panic attacks and what have you. The purpose of this march is, well, as a lot of people probably have forgotten, today is the march our 10th year that we are going into the fight with Afghanistan. And we picked today especially to send out a message to not only the politicians and officials, but to the world that we're not going to stand for the deployment of traumatized troops any longer.
And it's happening every day.
Every day.
I have come here today with my fellow soldiers to launch Operation Recovery so that we can stop the deployment of traumatized troops, so that we can give soldiers a chance to heal. In the last 5 years, suicide rates in the military have gradually increased year by year, and we have a long way to go. I know because when I was in Afghanistan a little over a year ago, I wanted to be Special Forces and I was studying counterinsurgency very closely. And it takes 10 to 15 years, which means that as we enter this 10th year, there's going to be more suicides than there were the year after that. And in the 11th year, there's going to be more suicides in the 10th year. It's going to keep getting worse unless we do something to stop the deployment of traumatized troops.
My name is Joyce Wagner. I served in the Marine Corps from 2002 to 2008. I deployed to Iraq in 2004 and 2005. I was the first woman in my shop since it existed, and I always felt like I had to prove to everybody all the time that I wasn't weak. I always had to work harder to prove myself as a woman. And then on my first deployment, I had a sexual harassment case against my master sergeant. And the sergeant major and the other people that handled the case basically pushed it under the rug and treated me like I was weak and told me that he was just looking out for me like everybody else was. So then the night before I left Iraq, someone who I considered a friend tried to confide to me about the things that they had been through. That person had been drinking, and I ended up being violently sexually assaulted by that person. And I believe that there was nobody that I could tell based on my sexual harassment case. And I didn't talk about it for 6 years. 90% of women in the military report sexual harassment, 60% report sexual assault, and 30% report rape. And those are only those that report it. And I know that it happens more than that because I know that it happened to me and I didn't report it. So I'm here today because I don't want another woman or man to have to go through what I went through.
Good afternoon, my name is Ethan McCord. I served with Bravo Company 216 Infantry in Iraq. There was an incident that's been widely publicized of collateral murder. I was in that unit. I was the soldier that pulled the children from the van. That day was very traumatizing to me. Later on that evening, when back at the FOB, I asked my staff sergeant if I could see mental health because I couldn't deal properly in the Army sense in dealing with what I had seen and what I was a part of. I was denied that right. I was told to suck it up and to drive on, and that I could be charged with a crime in the Army of malingering by being seen by mental health. I sucked it up, was wounded in November 2007, sent home. When I came home, I still had to sneak to mental health to try to be seen. They said that the wait at mental health was 6 weeks for me to be seen. I started drinking heavily as my way of self-medicating. I ended up being put into a civilian mental hospital. After I was in the civilian mental hospital, my unit degraded me and made fun of me for needing to see mental health. Our basic rights as human beings are being violated. And how can you take soldiers whose own rights are being violated and send them over to a country and expect us to fight for the rights of others? Let's bring the troops home and stop the deployment of traumatized troops. Thank you.